Recording in progress. We're officially
We're
recorded.
live, kind of.
We're live. Yeah, we've already done half the podcast just by catching up again. So,
Yeah.
uh,
I know I should have hit record sooner, but we are good.
it's all good. It's just the warm-up stage. You gotta, it's like before you work out, you get your body warm.
Yeah.
So you don't pull a muscle. We might have pulled a brain muscle if we hadn't talked. So,
Yeah, for sure.
all right. So we got a lot to get into.
Yeah.
Um, I'll give you a fancier introduction in the introduction to the podcast. So we don't need to like go into your bio necessarily, but for the listeners, I know you through Connor, through the Alliance, through our men's group. You're
Yep.
our fearless leader in our men's group, the Gentlemen's Guild,
The
as you
Gentleman's Guild.
you named it, which
I
is
did,
pretty
yeah.
cool. I remember I had the app open for a second, and my wife was like, "What the?" That was like some sort of like gentleman's club thing. Like, what are you looking at? Like, you gonna go out to like the strip club or something?
Yeah, not
It's
that
like, no,
type of
that's my
club.
men's group. What's that thing? She's like, oh, okay. Come to the Gentleman's Guild.
Yeah, man. I like this. I like the sound of it. And yeah, it
Yeah.
just kind of gelled and so I just ran with it.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I like your logo that you made too. It's pretty sweet.
Good old Canva.
Yeah, you're good with, as you were saying before, the technical stuff, the technology, the recording, which helps you with your voice acting career, which is we're launching, which is good.
Yep. Still trying to get that off the
Also,
ground.
yeah, you do have the voice for it. I mean, our whole group has told you this before. Or if you wanted to like try out for radio, you could do the late
Yeah.
like FM DJ voice guy or something. I don't know. Or
Oh,
sports.
eh.
The
Not so much
Vikings.
sports. Oh man. I don't want to get into those guys. That I don't know, man. All these years of disappointment, never getting a trophy, and like,
Yeah.
it's yeah. I had to step away when I realized that like the sport was affecting my mood, and when
Yes.
an
Yes.
external thing is affecting how I feel, then that's the time to like step back and kind of reevaluate
Yes.
why you're a fan and like if you're really even interested in it anymore. And
Yep.
yeah,
I actually caught in the ups and downs of sport too. It'd ruin my day or it'd be cool.
yeah,
Um, I mean, it's been a lot easier since my team won the Super Bowl, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't
I
want to rub it
bet.
in today. I wore my Arsenal stuff today. Today's Arsenal. They won today, so wearing their stuff. But yeah, I think that's the thing for a lot of guys because they have nothing else and they work hard all week and they avoid and they got their teams and like, okay, I'm gonna watch this game and they're hanging their hopes on that win. And if it doesn't happen, it's just like soul crushing because they really over identify with what as if they're on the team, It's like I can't wear my gear the next day or whatever. I really want to wear my gear. Or if they win, it's like cool, I get to wear my gear and my mood's lifted. And like that's probably when you're over identifying it. I have absolutely been there before.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Yeah, it makes sense, man. Like, men just get kind of drawn to those things. And it's, there's a part of it, I'm sure, that's like a kind of reward thing. Like you said, we work all week and we like having something to look forward to, and that'd be on Sundays when all the games are on and stuff.
Yep.
And yeah, like you said, Monday, you can either be going into work loud and proud or, just going in bummed out, don't talk to me because I'm pissed my team lost, you know?
Yep. Or that one bastard's gonna rub it in your face that knows.
Yes, yes, and yeah. At one job I had, it was almost just every Monday, like there would be some kind of shit talking happening, but yeah, don't let it get to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Poor Vikings. Yeah, you guys are the oldest franchise with no Super Bowl or something. It's really even like
Well,
the like the ones like during the Civil War era or whatever. Like I don't know how old the team is, but like didn't none of those. You didn't even have one of those. It's pretty.
Civil War. Yeah, man. We get they should really put this on a Vikings t-shirt or something, but there's always next year is what we say every year. Like that phrase is just echoed at the end of every season. Oh, there's always next year. I'm like, well, I know what's going to happen next year. It's going to be the same shit. Same
Yeah,
fucking heaviness of
yeah, be
disappointment.
psychic. Yeah, yeah. It sucks. It does suck. But kudos to you for loyalty. You need to become a Chiefs fan or some dumb shit
Yeah,
move like
30 years now.
yeah, nice work. So when they do win, it'll feel like an orgasm you've been holding back for 30 years. Be careful. It's gonna
I've always imagined
you
it,
mean
dude.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'd been wearing Eagles gear like literally every single day for like a month. So after they won the Super Bowl and everyone's like, really, really? I'm like, yeah, I've earned the right.
You're damn
I've,
right.
I've been through
Yeah.
I've been through the pain. Like I know we won one a few years ago, but like it's still before that it was a long time. So anyways, before we lose a quarter of the population who don't like sports in this podcast, a lot of guys do, but a lot of men and women who listen could give no shits. So, but that is a thing for men. Yeah. So back to the alliance and Connor. That's how we met in men's work and all this cool stuff we're doing. Uh, I've just gone buck wild with it. We're working with Connor, and now I'm working with Trevor Boehm and Dewey, Michael Gay, all these guys. It's all coming next month. I'm flying to Denver twice for one for doing Trevor, Michael, and Dewey's retreat, the Man and Civilized Men's Initiation. And I'm coming back because I'm coaching my daughter's soccer team. And then a couple weeks later, I go back for Dewey's 6 month thing. It's you fly there twice, the rest is online. It's the art of instinct and intuition, I believe it is for therapists and some coaches. Takes I think like 10 people a year or something, and then runs them through the program. So it's gonna be good, but I'm gonna be like swimming in it.
Fucking, you're gonna be a
So
busy man.
I already this last year has been crazy. Yeah, it's been a year almost to the day since I did Connor's men's weekend, and that's what really um, set me off on this work. I mean, I've been doing this work since a long time, since I'm doing mental health psychotherapy, but specifically men's specific work has been really good for me, really good for my patients, and the stuff we talked about in our alliance group has been really cool and helpful. So, when did you get involved in Connor's work?
Oh man. To bring it back just a little bit, I lived most of my life not realizing what the fuck was going on around me. I wasn't in touch with my inner self. I was barely in touch with my external environment. Like I was just kind of closed off a lot. And, um, there was a lot of things that kind of brought me to the Alliance, but one of the main reasons, and this kind of ties into the voice acting thing, is I had paid for training for voice acting. I completed my training. I was ready to like go out and start, auditioning and everything like that. But after the training, there was a portion where you have to kind of figure out your brand or
Mm,
like,
mhm,
ask those deep questions of like who you are, like, favorite
mhm,
colors, like your interests and stuff like that. And like that part of that part of developing my career just it was like I hit a wall. Like I realized then that I had absolutely no idea who I was, the things that I loved, like it took me back. And um a friend of mine was already a member of the Alliance, and he originally turned me on to the podcast. And
mhm.
um so I listened to the podcast. I pre-ordered Connor's book, Men's Work, and
Great book.
yeah, absolutely. It's a beast of a book, but yes, it's definitely, I
Yeah, if you do
highly
the work.
recommend it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you actually do the journaling work, yeah.
Yeah, which it's cumbersome, yeah, but it's definitely worth it. Um, so yeah, I read the book. He told me about the Alliance, but I was kind of hesitant on pulling the trigger just because I wasn't sure what to kind of expect. But I was sitting here with these questions, trying to figure out who I am. I'm like, this has to be it. Like, this has to be the way I'm going to figure out who I am. So,
Sure.
um, I got on the waiting list. And then like my father passed away right after that. So
Oh my
like the
gosh.
alliance opening up was really like,
Wow.
I don't know, it was right place, right time kind of thing. And so yeah, I eventually pulled the trigger on it and joined January of 23 or 24. So
Hmm. Hmm.
over a year now. And
When
it's
you
been
start,
amazing.
yeah, yeah, it really opens our eyes up. Like you said, we just kind of walking around, don't really know what we're supposed to be doing as men anymore. I don't know. I'm sure we can get into it, but a lot of guys have absent fathers or fathers who are physically in the house but absent emotionally and psychologically, or just burnt the fuck out and don't have time, or overbearing and not a good relationship with their father, and no one telling us, hey, bro, what's the playbook here? Like, what's this whole manhood thing? Like, what are we
Yeah.
supposed to do? Like, how do you feel? Or how do you do relationships when you have kids? What do you do with them? Like, not, you learn by what you see at best, and hopefully you get they take a knee when you're a little guy and start talking to you. But a lot of times, it doesn't happen until you actually have kids or you ask, which is even more odd if you're a
Yeah.
parentified child. Like, aren't you supposed to come to me? But yeah, it's odd.
It's crazy when when you become a parent. Um, you don't even know the things that you've learned from your parents until you actually step into that role. And then it's just like, holy
Yeah,
shit, like, why am I acting like this? And then, you got to start doing the work and going back and trying to, pick up the breadcrumbs and stuff of where all of this behavior and everything like that comes from.
absolutely. Yeah, and like you said before we started, you've been digging into fatherhood more and embracing it more, which is really cool. And your kids will love it. But you got like 14 kids, right?
Yeah, yeah, like that many. I'm building an army is what I'm doing.
But
But yeah,
you do have like, what do you have, four?
four, yep.
Yeah, it's still that's not nothing. Yeah, I got two, and it's a lot. Four is that's a lot.
Four, yeah. 12, 12, 8, and then I have 6-year-old twins.
You have
So
twins. I didn't know that. How
yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Are you do?
cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool, Miles. It's cool.
It's so easy to change two diapers at once, and yeah, your wife is probably even more. Man, props to your wife though too. Like, damn, that's a lot of boobing and
Oh
pooping and
yeah. Yeah,
that like
double fisting with the
yeah,
twins
double
pretty much. And she fed all of our children.
brilliant. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah, yeah. Wow. Do you have all boys?
I have three boys and one of the twins is a girl.
Oh, cool. That's really cute.
Yeah,
You're
she's
blessed.
something else. Daddy's girl for sure.
I bet. Yeah, yeah. That's really cool. Yeah, I think there's a layer of yourself that I think a lot of people don't get unlocked in themselves until they have kids. And not that you have to have kids, but you just don't know until you do. You didn't know these parts of you that were there until you have kids. It challenges you, or this level of love that comes out, or this biological instinct when see your baby come out. Like I always joke that before I had my kids, I was like, yeah, if someone broke in the house, I'd probably, defend the house and be a man. As soon as I saw my first daughter, like the second night, I was like, yeah, I have no qualms about killing people.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
just some biological thing is like, yeah, you will die I will die before you hurt my kids. It was like jarring, like, whoa, where did that come from? It's like, that's probably a built-in instinct. Just deep levels of love, all kinds of stuff that I, intellectually understood were coming, and the books will tell you are coming. But when you experience that, it's like, whew, some things unlock inside your psyche that you just don't get if you don't have kids. So not you're supposed to have kids, but I just hope everybody gets the chance if they want to, because it's quite amazing. But it is hard. It is hard.
It's
And but
very hard, yeah.
adversity grows us too. So pros and cons.
Yeah, and I feel that at least recently, as I was saying earlier, the pros are definitely outweighing the cons now. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, 4 kids, dude.
That's a lot,
It's a
especially
lot.
when they're young too. Like the wrangling. Like, man,
Yeah, and there's a lot of that. There's a lot of running around. They tear up the house like they're
yes,
kids, you know.
yeah, yeah. They're supposed to do that.
They are supposed to do that, and sometimes I forget that, you know,
Hmm.
when I'm overstimulated
Yes.
and, you know, they're just piling it on and you know, I have to raise my voice or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, I just the thing that usually gets me to kind of calm down after those episodes of like dysregulation and like, you know,
Mm.
just getting overwhelmed with the kids is just remembering that simple fact that they're kids.
Yeah.
You know, as parents, we don't have as much control over our children as we think or as we want. But
No.
you know, as long as you can get to a point where you truly believe like this is supposed to be this way,
Yes.
like it kind of takes back some of that resistance and that, you know, that control that you try so hard to get at every moment with them. You know, it's just not
Yes.
possible and you stress yourself out. So,
You
um,
do. Yeah, it's all nervous system regulation. Otherwise, you're just going to reenact unconsciously what your parents did.
mhm.
Like, oh shit, I fucking sound like my mom or my dad. Like, where did that come from? But if you do the, certain breath techniques, or I like Ryan Holiday's Daily Stoic when he talks about, I think it was him. He's talking about when you see the handprints on the window for the umpteenth time, and you're like, God damn it! You're like, no, you're going to miss that. Like until up to the age of 18, this is the most you're going to see your kids, and it precipitously drops after
Mhm.
that. Soak it up. And just taking note of that makes that anger kind of go, it just tamps it down. Like, okay, no, no, I'm going to enjoy this. Yes, it's still annoying,
Yeah.
and I'm going to wipe it up, but I know I'm going to miss this one day. And then just breathing. And I also think a lot of like Jocko, when talking about Jocko, I got my Jocko mug.
Get after it.
Side note, like this thing's massive, dude. When I started I'm a Jocko blue belt. Do you know what that means?
No.
It means like Jocko's the one that got me into jujitsu. So you're whatever belt you are, you're a Jocko black belt, whatever. Like
Oh, right on.
when I went to Origin when they first came out, I'm pretty sure that he was the fucking tester because I bought a medium and it was like an XL on me. I had to send the motherfucker back. And this mug is like probably for him. Like this is huge, huge. I don't know. Anyway, side note. But he was talking about his kids. He just said he just let them get after whatever they got into. Like one time his like 7-year-old kid was like out in the grill like cooking a steak and he's like, well, okay. He just kind of kept on it. He's like, hey, what are you doing, man? He was like, cooking a steak. He's like, okay, cool. Just
Oh,
like
goodness.
he just let him the malarkey that he just let him get after it. He had some strict rules from him, but he just let them get into shit and mess shit up. I think that's a really good rule of thumb. I mean, there's got to be some orders and chores and things like that, but like if they're being creative and explorative and they're making a little bit of a mess, like let them do it. Like that
Because they're
it's so good for
experimenting
them.
with their
They're
reality,
experimenting. Yes,
you
yeah.
know.
I remember when
You-
I was a kid, I dug a big hole in the front yard of my parents' house because I was digging for dinosaur bones. And my dad got so mad at me. He was so pissed off. But he later apologized and he regretted doing it. But it really pissed him off because me and my buddy, we dug a big ass motherfucking hole in the front yard. We were fine. We were going to find those fucking dinosaur bones. But that's it. It's play and exploration, growing yourself. So it is a trick. It is a tricky dance with parenting. But
Absolutely. You can read all of the books on the shelves and they
they
just
help.
scratch the
But
surface. Yeah, they are
yes,
very helpful. I think I read 3 books before my first child was born.
dude,
And
that's more than most parents. Well done.
yeah, and honestly, a lot of the information that I read kind of went right out the door as soon as like he was born and all of that because I was just like, oh shit, this is real now. Like my life isn't about me anymore,
Yes,
you
I think
know?
that's it. I think that's it. The ego takes a hit. Yeah, it's not about
Yeah.
you. I think that part I'm telling. was saying about getting unlocked, I think that's it. Like you have to get out of yourself, and it challenges that.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's such a, I don't know, you parents that are listening out there, you know exactly what we're talking about
Yeah.
because something does happen. I don't know if it's, that could boil it down to like chemicals in your brain, like just different things just start happening based off of an experience, and
Yes.
that's just, it's amazing like what human beings are capable of and what our bodies are capable of just from experiencing things in life. It's nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and kicks up your old childhood stuff you didn't know was there, and
Hmm.
that can be good if you work with it. Bad if you repeat it, which we're gonna do on some level. But
Yeah.
I'm about to read Dr. Becky Kennedy's book, Good Inside. Have you heard of her before?
I have not.
It's the book is supposed to be incredible. I've heard her on Huberman twice and some other podcasts, and it's pretty spot on. It's sort of she kind of takes like internal family systems and like starts you working with that with the kids in a way like you have parts and you're good inside, and the way you talk to your kids and things like that. The way she talks about it's pretty cool. And some other good ones are Daniel Siegel, who's a psychiatrist, I believe. He co-authors with a psychologist, and he's got like five. And my favorites were No Drama Discipline and The Power of Showing Up. They were really good. And The Power of Showing Up, the first half of the book is kind of about you, like maybe your attachment style and like how were you raised, and rather than like here's how you go unfuck your kids or fix your kids or do whatever. Like, no, unfuck yourself first. Like, I
Oh
was like,
yeah, yeah.
fuck yeah, thank you for going there, man. Because it's most of the books are like how to just deal with your kids, and they forget about you. You know, you're the second half. They're borrowing your nervous system. They don't even have a fully developed nervous system yet, so you're kind of helping them learn what that is. So,
I listened to you guys talk about that a couple of episodes ago, and like that, the whole sharing your nervous system, like I was unaware of that, and that just completely, that whole concept blew my mind
mm,
because it makes so much sense.
yes,
And, it's definitely something that I want to look into more because,
mm,
you know, like I said, that I got it just when you guys were explaining it, and like I just want to learn more about it because I feel like we're all in my house, specifically, we're all kind of leaning on each other's nervous systems, and I
yep,
can, I'll be the first to admit my nervous system is not in check all the time, and it is
sure,
uh, can get very dysregulated.
yeah,
And that in turn is going to affect the people around me and vice versa, so
1000%, yeah.
yeah.
Especially and this might be a side quest because of what I'm about to say. We both have the old ADD going on. I have the inattentive type. We are more sensitive too, and our nervous systems are more prone to being dysregulated quicker. We have this thing called rejection sensitivity dysphoria, where things like affect us deeply, and we can kind of get dysregulated real quick if we're not careful. And it's spectrumy, this whole neurodivergent thing.
Hmm.
Some people it's no biggie, but there'll be certain buttons that for me that did trigger mine to get real hot, and I have to like leave the room and do the Huberman physiological side. You know that one?
Wait.
The- it's
No.
the big in breath with a little sip of air and a long out breath through the mouth, like you're blowing through a straw. It's
Oh.
it looks like this, or as long as you can. And if you do that for like 10 times, 5 minutes, whatever, it's the quickest way to bring yourself back to, I think, what Dr. Porges, the guy who is the polyvagal guy, uh, calls the green zone. It's like where we want to kind of be normally. It's where we're rest, digest, parasympathetic.
Hmm.
And he likens it to like a rainbow. Like I'm going to butcher this probably, but like the red is like rage, hot, anger, and then anxiety is like yellow, and then you get down to green's cool, and then like violet's a little melancholic, and like blue's like fucking depressed. And a lot of us grew up kind of either toggling between the two or stuck in the two. You have
Hmm.
the people who have attachment where they sort of raged out, and they rage, they go hot quick, or stuck in anxiety all the time. That was mine. or the collapsers that give up, like, oh, there's it's just despair. Why would I even try there? And those are the depressed people. And yes, there's a neurochemical issue here, biological issue, nature nurture thing going on with attachment theory and with just the way you come out of the box. The good news is you can work with both. You can tune the nervous system back to the green zone. And a lot of good people out there. Maston Kipp is a good guy. He's got a book. There was some woman on Connor's podcast from, I think she's Italian. Her that was a really good one. I think it was called Reclaim Your Nervous System. But yeah, your kids they can't do it without you, and they'll learn to be dysregulated if you don't. And one of the things I really appreciated about Daniel Siegel's book was like get down on like their level and like use touch, like hold them, touch them, not just look at them and like there's something about that like calms them down. Like you're directly there's something about like touch and oxytocin or something that really helps them to like self-regulate. And it shows them like, hey, you're not this big, tall adult towering over me. You're with me. Or just sitting down next to them when they're having a tantrum, like, hey, I'm right here. I'm right here. I'm not going to go away. Lots of good books coming out on this stuff that our parents did not have.
Yes. And that's really, I'm glad that you said that because it's really something that I think everyone who hasn't realized already should realize is that the tools and the information that we have nowadays were not available
No.
to our parents. So, I mean, you can imagine how difficult they had it, back then raising us. So, if you can see that, I feel that um, a form of forgiveness kind of comes out of
Mm,
that, and
right.
and
Yeah.
some compassion. Just, you can be mad at your parents for whatever reason, whatever they did, but you also need to understand that, you know, they didn't have all this information back
No.
then, and they weren't, all these studies and everything like that weren't even going on back then, or they were just in their infancy, you
Correct.
know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So we all, as parents nowadays, should just be really blessed that we have all of the tools that we have now and really just
Yeah.
integrate it and utilize them for, to break the generational trauma and start
Absolutely.
raising noble citizens, I guess.
Yeah. Good citizens. Absolutely. My parents even had the reverse. Like, remember was it the Dr. Spock guy, the cried out guy?
I don't remember that.
Remember that? I think it was him. Like, I think he redacted or retracted that whole like, if you're gonna spoil your kid if you don't pick them up if you pick them up when they're crying, which is like
Mm,
completely anathema to like attachment theory now. Like Ainsworth and all her studies, like with attachment theory, even Bowlby back in the day is like that's and that was Bowlby was before this guy, which is he was like sort of the father of attachment theory.
mm,
I don't know why he did that, but like he would say, just let them. It was like sleep training, the whole thing. Like, let them exhaust themselves and they cry. Like, dude, they're in survival mode. They're gonna come out with an attachment wound and not know why they have one and come to therapy and be like, I don't know why, but I'm just like always anxious and my child was okay and probably it was fine. The parents like were good, but they made their kid cry it out and they have this old nervous system wound and they come in and don't know why they run so hot, and it's because it was pre-verbal. Like this stuff happened when they were young, and that was so damaging. And I think I've talked about this on a podcast before, but there was some. It wasn't a study; it was just a phenomena that happened after World War II in Romania, where they just had a bunch of orphan babies, like a ton, because Russia lost like the most humans in World War II out of all the countries. And then they did some more messed up things to their own citizens after that. But they had a bunch of in Romania, a bunch of babies, and these nurses were taking care of them, feeding them. Should have been fine, but they kept dying. And they're like, "What? We don't know what's going on." But they weren't touching them, they weren't picking them up. They're like, and they kind of like sort of lost the will to live, is what they said. So
mm.
babies need touch; they need to be held, or they sort of just say, "I guess." We're in the forest and no, we're not going to put the metabolic energy to staying alive. We might as well just check out. So that they were dying, so pretty sad. So you don't make your kids cry it out there, listeners. Don't ever do that. Like I understand like if they cry for like a couple minutes and they go to sleep, that's different. But if you're like sitting there and like it's like a half an hour and you're listening to them scream and in your heart it's breaking and your every instinct is saying go pick them up, listen to that instinct because it's probably
Yes.
correct. Like I've heard of so many people come in to my practice and they talk about still doing this sort of thing and like how it hurts them. Like listen to that. Like that's like probably inborn stuff you should probably be paying attention to. And if you think about pre-Victorian era, like babies didn't even touch the ground like 90% of the day. They were like swaddled to a human, you know.
Yeah.
They weren't put in a
Constant
fucking
connection.
crib, you know. Or
Yeah, man.
strollers. Like what the strollers and cribs are a relatively new invention. Like before you're walking around with your baby. Like this it just it's mind-blowing. But again, caveat emptor. You were on a podcast with two people with ADD and we're trying to rein ourselves in. So side quests could happen, and they sometimes lead to interesting places, but sometimes they get derailed. But I'm gonna rein myself back from the soapbox moment. Not give my TED talk on attachment theory, but so good. I'm glad you're digging into all the parent stuff.
Yeah, man. I have to
Pretty
be, four kids, dude. I gotta um get away from the avoidant kind of behavior that I developed from my father, and
Mm,
like essentially me diving into this resistance of like doing things with my kids and taking them out. Yeah, it's
mhm,
super stressful, but
mm.
um if I can, all I have to do really is just remember that um navigating through that resistance is not only going to be good for me, but it's especially going to be good for them. And
And your relationship.
absolutely.
Mhm.
And I lately I've been just trying not to think about any sort of stress whatsoever and just actually just in general stop thinking altogether and just
Yeah.
do the things.
Yeah. Yeah.
That thinking gets us into like
Oh
task
yeah.
paralysis and procrastination and all of that, which, I'm sure you suffer with a lot of that too, is I am terrible with that shit. And a lot of it is because I think about it too much.
Yep. We
So
have
take
the
action.
take action. Yeah, it's I think that ADD phenomenon of like it's the damn interest thing that gets us. Like if we're interested, like we it can make them a superpower. We can do like a deep dive hyper focusing, but if we're not, it's like I think Dr. Huberman calls that like that limbic friction, like that feeling part of your brain's like, nah, don't want to do it. Even though it could be something crucial, like, bro, you got to do your taxes. Like, oh, that book over there, I'd rather read that. Like,
Yep.
you have to push through. And there's this thing called opposite action and dialectical behavior therapy, where you throw yourself into the opposite of what you don't want to do, and you got to give it your best go. And there's something to that. Like if you just it's sort of like bump starting a car, like you just got to roll that motherfucker and then just pop the clutch and see what happens.
Yeah.
But if you're sitting there like trying to like turn that key over, nothing's happening. If nothing's going to happen. Oh, I don't feel like turning the key over, but if you bump start it, it sort of gets that internal state going. They give this advice to authors too, like if they're having sort of writer's block or they're just like meh, you just type gobbledygook on the fucking page, and after 5 minutes, your brain goes, "Oh, I guess we're doing this," and then like, "Oh, we're in." And I think that works well for those of us with ADD or ADHD. To get through that friction is just the opposite action. Just throw yourself into it and it's hard because
Fuck
we
yeah, it's hard. It sucks.
we ask ourselves, do we want to do this? And our feeling brain 10 out of 10 times says go fuck yourself. So
Hmm.
yeah, so sounds like you're kind of doing that. Like not think like don't have that uh dialogue with that part of yourself. Like not that you want to like reject parts of yourself, but don't have that like should I do this, should I not do it? Say, did I have that intention? And then just kind of move
Yeah,
your body.
just move your body. It's
Yeah.
so simple,
Mhm.
but it's not at the same time. It's so
Mhm.
complex too. And especially, when you're sitting there and you're thinking about what you have to do, you're making it way more complex than it has to be because then you're thinking of
Yes.
all these different scenarios and you're just adding these layers. onto something like as simple as doing the dishes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like something
Yeah.
so stupid and simple. And actually doing dishes can be really like almost therapeutic in a
Yeah.
way.
Once you're in it. Yeah.
Yeah, once you're in it, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Like I have great ideas when I wash dishes. Like I
Yes.
reflect a lot and it's really great, but right up to before the point of actually doing them is yeah, I think about, man, now I'm gonna have to sit there in front of the sink and I'm gonna get all wet and I'm probably gonna have to go and do some things for the kids and I'm probably not gonna get them all done and you know, it just snowballs from there. So get the
No,
fuck up and do
snowball is
the
the correct
dishes.
word. Yeah. Yeah. I think of like Mel Robbins' 5 second rule. Have you heard that book before?
Hmm.
You just
Yep.
like count down from 5 to 1, then move. Like that. It's about counting. You can't think about these things when you're doing numbers, which makes
Yep.
sense for me because I'm math challenged and physics challenged and OChem challenged, but it does interrupt the verbal side of my brain. So I think there's some science to that.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna have to implement that because
Mhm.
it seems like it would be very beneficial and it would help. So yeah, thanks for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. This is why we do this podcast, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
learning stuff.
Learning and stuff.
Hmm.
Numbers are hard, but I can count to five.
That's easy enough. I can do that, I think.
I can do that one. Yeah. Yeah. So good, man. Well done with that era of your life. I know a lot of guys struggle with this. When you were growing up, what was the template you got from your father? If you don't mind talking about that.
Oh yeah, uh I've done a lot of work uh you know, just reflecting on my dad and my upbringing and things like that. And you know, to sum it up, he was he was a very avoidant person. Um and so what he would do is he would put us in front of the TV or you know, it was back when video games were just starting to become huge, or he would get us a gaming console or something
Mm,
and just let us sit in front of the TV while he went and
classic.
yeah, like he built computers and things like that, so he was always in the basement messing with computers. He was always off doing other things except being involved with us.
Hmm.
So, and those traits definitely carried over through me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and so he was very avoidant, and he also had a short temper. We were
Mm,
never like physically abused or anything like that, but verbally, yeah, and he wouldn't necessarily call us names, but he would make us feel guilty for doing uh, kid shit, you know?
yeah. Yeah.
For acting out or being too loud, things like that.
Hmm.
Um, so that's basically where I learned how to be a dad from
Right. Yeah.
was him, you know. And uh, he went to prison when I was 13. Um,
Mm,
so when I was 13, uh, my entire life changed because let's see, my parents got divorced when I was 6. And my
wow.
dad took custody uh, of
Mm,
us at that time, and you know, was basically raising 3 kids on his own. Um,
wow.
so all we knew was him pretty much. And yeah, when he got arrested right before I turned 13. Um, so yeah, that was a huge blow.
Yeah.
Um,
You got some quite a bit of trauma.
yeah, absolutely. And you know, I'm actively in therapy and everything like that. And you know, the Alliance helps kind of navigate a lot of that trauma
Yeah.
and yeah, so let's see, avoidant and yeah, he had a temper. But right before he got arrested, he was really trying to fix things. He was being more involved with us. He was
Oh man.
taking us out to yeah, yeah, right. Like when things are starting to get really good, and then yeah, he goes to prison. So
Insult
yeah,
to injury.
yeah,
So he got custody from your mom. So Well, did you get to see your mom ever, or is it
It
most?
was first couple of years after the divorce, no, we didn't. And then it moved to we got to see her every holiday. And
Wow.
then there was a couple of years of that. And then eventually we got to every 2 weeks just on the weekends.
Hmm.
So, like twice a month we would see our
Hmm.
mom. And so yeah, we were primarily being raised by our dad.
Hmm.
So
And how long was he away for?
11 years.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he had for context, we were getting our power shut off a lot. Our water was getting shut off constantly. After my grandmother passed away, my dad kind of went through all of the inheritance and didn't pay house taxes, things like that. And so he was trying to make money, and essentially he became friends with these guys that worked at a gas station, and they were all meth users, and they
Mm.
needed a place to cook, I guess. And we had I don't know what
Gotcha.
they call it, the garage behind the garage. It's like attached. There's a name for it, but we had two garages, and one was behind the front one, so nobody even knew that stuff was back there. So yeah, they were like, "Hey, we're gonna cook in your home," and
Some
uh,
Breaking Bad stuff going
some
on.
Breaking Bad stuff, yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So
But
he
we got
really,
money.
yeah, exactly. Hey, that worked. So he wasn't using or taking part. He was just kind of renting, so to speak.
Yeah,
And
pretty much. And then he got arrested the night they were moving out of our house. They took the whole lab down. They threw in
oh,
my dad's van. They're like, we have a place out in the field. We're just gonna do that. And it was that night when they were going out there, that's when he got pulled over and arrested.
dude, that's some bad luck, man.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's
I mean, yeah, choices are choices, but
mhm.
still strange occurrences when things are about to go right and then and then not. Man, that's a lot to go through as a little guy.
Yeah. And then
Uh,
basically having all of that responsibility after he went to prison, he was like, "Well, he kind of gave me a little speech on the phone
mm,
about being, the whole man of the house kind of thing that a lot of men go through. Um, here's
yep.
all of this responsibility that I, as an adult, can barely handle. Here you go, 13-year-old."
Here you go. Frenchified child.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so childhood kind of went out the window after that, and yeah, you
Hmm.
know, um, it is what it is, though, man. I've done a lot of work processing all of that and coming to a place that um, understands why he did what he did.
Sure.
Um, ultimately, it was for the best that. He was trying to make money in a quick way, which, yeah, he did it in a stupid, stupid way, but he was trying. He was trying to
You will.
fix, fix kind of
Yeah.
his errors or whatever. And yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't blame him at all for it. I did back then, but yeah, I'm all good with
Sure.
it
It's
now.
it's easy to, and when you get really stressed and it comes to survival, humans will do things they don't normally do. And he
Mhm.
probably got there being a single parent. But imagine he's working really hard and he comes home and he just wants to like decompress and he's got kids. So he's like, yeah, here's the Nintendo. Today's we call it the iDad. Here you go, kids. And
Yeah.
you just go watch Netflix and chill. Like that still happens. So yeah, it's good to know why your parents why they did the things they did, because it does take the edge off. It doesn't mean you don't have pain, but
Hmm.
it releases you get to grieve it. You get releases the stuff you carry. And in Buddhism, it's like, hold a grudge. They say it's like drinking poison, they hoping the other person dies. Like you're the one that's dying. You're slowly poisoning yourself. So forgiveness is a thing and it takes time. I think your own grief, I'm still working through that, and it's been years since my childhood shite, and then it still bubbles up. And in some recent podcasts, I've talked about some deep work I've really done with my therapist, and it's taken a long time to get there. So it's also the modality that the IFS work and Gestalt and internal stuff that she does that really does help. Talk therapy, it's good for the first half, but you got to go into the unconscious and into the direct felt experience, especially for guys. With those two, it really starts moving. So
Hmm.
I had been doing more of the first half in therapy, but yeah, well, it seems like you've done a lot of work because given someone's gone through that much pain, you would think you wouldn't be here today doing the things you're doing and be able to be the dad you are and doing the work you're doing. So, props to you.
Yeah, man.
That's a lot.
You,
A lot of people don't survive that. So, or they replicate it or whatever. So,
yeah, I think, the piece on fatherhood that we had talked about, like I did replicate a lot of that stuff. Um,
but not you're not Breaking Bad, so it's all good.
yeah, I'm not cooking any meth in my home, so I'm doing something right.
But we did get prescribed legalized meth with Adderall, so
Yes, yeah, the Adderall
we
is the
both had
devil,
our
dude.
well, yeah, you really helped me with that. When I was trying that out and like talking about that in the men's group, because that was my first go at like medicating this shit, and it was when I was on it, it was like amazing, but the crash was like terrible, and I felt just depressed and weird thoughts, and like this is not good shit. But then your body craves it because it felt like every time I crash, it was like a mini withdrawal almost. It was just
Hmm.
weird. So, and you had a probably more protracted struggle with that than I did, considering what you've told me. But you beat it, which is good.
Yes,
And your advice really helped me um, come off that shit. So,
I'm glad
thank
it
you for
did,
that.
man, because that I
Yeah.
know you were going through hell with that, and
Mm.
uh, I know not verbatim, but I know that feeling. I know what you were going through, and like I just remember um, how awful that felt.
Yeah. And then all the shortages, and then you're
Hmm.
out for like a week. That's just like that's not good, man. It's just yeah,
Yeah,
you
the
got to find a good
shortages.
psychiatrist. Yeah, the
Yeah,
shortage is pretty funny. Like that's pretty dangerous. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. They just hand that shit out. I think it's the new opiates. Like uh I have a friend who's a psychiatrist. I'll have her on the podcast at some point. She's incredible with where she specializes in ADD, ADHD, and women's health. And she'll sit like the initial intake is like an hour and a half. When I got prescribed uh ADD and I talked to the doctor, guess how long my office visit was? It was like 8 minutes. Like, oh, you want to try this many milligrams? Here you go. I could
Oh
just
my
made that up.
gosh. Yeah.
Like here we go, off we go. Like, there was little conversation, and it wasn't even a psychiatrist I talked to. So you got to find a good psychiatrist if you want to go that route or not. Just they're the ones that really know, a skilled psychiatrist that really know, like, hey, we need to put you on like methylphenidate instead, or like make guanfacine or behavioral stuff, not just the front. They always start you. It seems like an Adderall at first. I don't know if it's a pharma kickback or something, but it's. I mean, people. If you have like um a family history of psychosis, like that shit can make you psychotic. Like
Hmm.
you gotta be careful. Like, you gotta do a thorough intake. So I think that's the next opioid crisis, perhaps, because you say college students like abusing that, and it's just it does make you feel like on top of the world, when you're on it. But then when you come off, you feel like you go to heaven and you go to hell, basically. That was my experience. For some people like that I've referred to for my practice to my friend, it works and they're just different. Like, oh, this shit's working for you. No side effects, no crash, and they're like thriving. So, and some it was not so good, but I'd say 90% it's been that or methylphenidate, which is Ritalin, has been a game changer for a lot of these guys. So, uh, pharma's not always bad, but there are other options. But
Yeah, I'm
if
glad
you
that you
find yourself
mentioned that
around,
for sure.
yeah, you went through some hell with that one.
Yeah, and just to note that, Adderall can be beneficial. Like I know like we both had shitty experiences with it, but like it's not to say that it's not going to help. somebody
Um,
else out there.
mhm.
But yeah, man, there was a couple times I took like 80 milligrams a day.
Oh my God. Give
Yeah,
yourself a heart attack.
stupid, stupid. And that's just to combat the crash that you were talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
insane. And
Hmm.
essentially at the end was just I was digging myself a deeper hole.
Deeper. Yeah.
Like and not being honest with my med doctor because I felt like I don't want to sound like an addict, but like I need more of this for it to work, you know?
Right.
And then yeah, going back to the shortages and like I
Mhm.
got to a point where I was calling like four or five different pharmacies, like, and
Yeah.
almost
Crazy.
was just super irritated, just like, do you guys have this in? Like they would always bring up the shortage and try this place or that place, and it made me so angry, and I lost a lot of hope in our healthcare system just because of
Yeah.
that alone.
100%.
Um, eventually I decided I'm like, no, among other information that I learned that we won't go into, but pharma's not for me. So I kind of took a stand and uh, I tapered off very quickly. I think I
Oh boy.
maybe had two left, and I split those in half and took
Oh
one
man.
each day. So like 4 days. Like, yeah, it was really dumb, but
But
I
it
made
worked.
it. It
Yeah,
worked.
you made it. Yeah.
Fucking sucked, but it worked.
Dude, I can't even imagine. Yeah, I tapered and it was hell, but not that quick. I can only imagine. Yeah, it's just everyone's a little different. When they come off like or nicotine, that's almost as bad as Adderall. Like usually relapse is less likely to happen if you taper than if you cold turkey per the data. But some people cold turkey it's just this is just the way their personality is or the way they're wired. It's like, nah, I'm done. And you just suffer through the Hades for a little bit and then you come out like, okay, get my dopamine back. Uh I remember like being in a dark place, but then and the same thing happened with opioids when I had my Achilles tear, which sucked. But like you start getting your emotions back. Did that happen to you? Like after you hear
Mhm.
the funk? I'd be listening to like a Coldplay song and be like tearing up, like, what the fuck is wrong with me? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, my feelings are coming back. And the song is it's initiating a state in me and like, oh, okay, I think that's a good thing. So man, but I don't know how you did that, but you got some Navy SEAL in you, apparently.
yeah. It was something like that, dude. Because I quit drinking cold turkey, so I was like, I can do it
Damn.
again, you
Yeah,
know?
you can.
So,
I think that's it. You know, you can do hard things. You can take that as a strength that if you need to do that, you can do that.
yeah.
That's another
Something
big
else
one
you do.
for men is like a lot of guys are coming off the alcohol, which I like to see because of all the deleterious effects it has on humans, specifically sleep, and if you don't get good sleep, you don't get the what Dr. Matthew Walker calls this the emotional first aid with REM sleep. So the next day you just wake up just as cranky or depressed, and all the health anti-benefits of alcohol. So, because I mean, I would before I knew about the sleep science, I'd come home and have a glass of wine like almost every day for like 4 or 5 years just to chill. But I didn't know how much it was fucking my sleep up. And then I got an Aura ring and started tracking it and was like, ooh. And thank God that substance doesn't do a whole lot for me. So it's pretty easy just to drop. I don't drink anymore. I have like one a year, one every 6 months or something. So
That's good.
yeah, everyone has their drug of choice, whether it's a substance or a behavior, but
Yeah.
thank
Thankfully, I'm
God.
allergic to alcohol now, so I
Are
gotta
you?
worry. Yeah, yeah, totally allergic. Like one sip, I have to go to the hospital.
Holy shit, that's what?
Yeah, it's crazy. Dude. I was an alcoholic for like 15 years. I started
So
when I was in my early teens, and the day I quit,
bro,
uh,
did you get NAFLD or something like that?
what's that?
Fatty acid liver disease? Is
Oh,
that
yeah. So I got diagnosed with that like 2 years ago, I
mm-hmm.
think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the non-alcoholic one, liver
Yeah,
disease.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, dude. And then so I quit cold turkey, which sucked. And then like 2 years later, we went, it was our anniversary, and we went out to like a fucking Chili's or something and had a margarita. And I took a sip and was just trying to enjoy it because I was still a little hesitant about even having a drink because I didn't know how I was gonna, if I was
Right.
just gonna start dumping them down my throat. But yeah, then all of a sudden I started getting itchy and I went to the bathroom and I had welts all over my body, like
Fucking
all over my privates, like everything,
man.
dude. And I was itchy, my lips, my ears were swelling, my throat was
Whoa.
starting to swell, so we had to go to the emergency room, got a
Anaphylaxis.
shot in the ass, and
Yeah, yeah.
so
EpiPen.
they were like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you're allergic. Maybe it's something in the margarita mix." And I'm like, "Well, it could be." So I didn't touch it for a while, and then we went to a music festival
Mhm.
and had a sip there, and sure enough, it happened again. And my doctor just was like, "Not sure why that is, but you should be taking that as a blessing." And you're like, "Yeah, I'm. That's right." And so I do
Yeah.
take it as a blessing, like. Even if I
Yeah.
wanted to go back to drinking, I can't because I will probably die. So,
Yeah. I
so
mean, that'd probably save a lot of alcoholics if that was the case.
right.
Yeah. That's like a shellfish allergy. I wonder what that is. I'd have to ask a physician what's going on there. That's interesting.
Yeah, there could be something I like. I don't. There might be some chemical thing in my body, but essentially, what I've framed it as is that um, my body is telling me "fuck you." Like my body is the one just being like, "No, Todd, we're not doing this again." Like I will have a huge reaction and I will make your mental health suffer if you have another drink. So I'm all right. I listen to my body. Doesn't like it anymore. I'm good.
There we go. Yeah,
Yeah,
the body is wise.
it is.
Yeah, I always think of that book, The Body Keeps the Score. Like, what is going on here? What's that interplay? Man, that's intense. So you're pretty much substance free for the most part. Sounds
For the
like.
most part.
Mhm.
For the most part, yeah. I
Mhm.
do self-medicate. Um, we have caffeine and which a lot of people don't consider that like a stimulant, but or a lot of substance, I guess, but it is. It's just so well accepted in our society that
Yeah.
it's just another thing.
But I think that's actually helpful for us with ADD, with the dopamine deficit. It does help with I mean, people with ADD often seek out stimulants unknowingly that if they don't know they have the diagnosis, they sort of self-medicate or, they're struggling in school or whatever. And then like at age 16, they have their first cup of coffee and they're like, whoa, whoa, I feel happy and not depressed and I can focus for a second. There's something to that. So, I mean, yeah, caffeine's the data they always say that, and as long as you're not screwing your sleep up and you're adapted to it, you can still work out and it's not causing blood pressure issues. You're probably all right. But
Do you have a cutoff time for yourself with caffeine?
yes, so I do the Dr. Huberman's delay. Have you heard of this before? The delaying of caffeine.
I did hear, I listened to an ADHD episode just yesterday from him where he talked about like two
That was
o'clock or something.
great. That was
Yeah.
a great episode for anyone that has ADD or ADHD. Go find that one on Huberman Lab. It's like the penultimate one right now. It's really good. Um, but caffeine, the delay one is more to prevent the afternoon crash for some people. I had never really experienced this. I don't know if people with ADD get that or not. Maybe I'm making that up, but some people they wake up right away and they slam their caffeine. Like that's what we got to wake up. It's got to go to work, and they've just like 15 minutes has passed since like I woke up to slamming caffeine. uh, and I'm going to try to say this as a sort of out of my lane and more of the neurobiology stuff that Dr. Huberman's expert in, but adenosine is the sleep pressure. When you feel tired, uh, that's adenosine telling you night night. And so when you wake up, there's like sort of this washout period of adenosine that needs to go away. And uses the same receptor parking spot as where caffeine goes. So if you have caffeine, the adenosine can't go in there and get cleaned out. And so it just piles up. And as soon as the caffeine wears off, slam, you get hit. And it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And what do people do? I must need more caffeine to wake up. And what have you just done? Destroyed your sleep. So it's a downward spiral. But if you delay it for, he says 90 minutes to 2 hours, that should get rid of that because your adenosine has time to do its normal function. I'm like an hour and I seem to be fine. I don't ever get the afternoon crash. So I think it just depends, but I just do it just because. But I'm also doing other things, right? I don't make coffee right away. I have other things I'm doing in the morning. So yeah.
Oh,
Any
that's
of you out
good,
there
man.
having afternoon crash, you can experiment with that one.
That's good. I have experienced that crash before.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm sitting at like I used to wake up and slam some caffeine and
Mhm.
would get like this nice rush for work.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
of course.
yeah, boom, lunchtime, I'm fucking dead.
Especially if you ate a bunch of carbs for lunch, you're hosed. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Time to go to Starbucks and have that venti, whatever, foo sugar filled $8 fucking
Yeah,
drink.
$8 fucking
Then you're,
bullshit.
yeah. I know I have I try not to drink from I'm terrified of the microplastics things that's
Hmm.
becoming more known. I don't, I don't use their plastic cups because I feel it's that plasticky, waxy stuff. So I just, if I get it, I quickly go home and dump it or bring my own drink. But I used to after lunch, because of the glucose dump, go get one of those and fuck my sleep up. But yeah, uh, when I do go, I get you get points, and so after so many times, I get a free one. And I look at the cost, and it was like pushing $10 for what my favorite drink is. I'm like, bro, that's Chipotle money, man.
Yeah,
What
straight
the
up.
hell? That's a Chipotle right there.
Yeah, dude. Big
You
ass
guys
fucking
are,
burrito or something, man. Like
yeah.
that's insane.
Yeah. Even the baristas are surprised, like, bro, that's expensive. Yeah.
Well, they have lines wrapped around their buildings all the time, so people are willing to pay it.
They'll pay it. Yeah. Addiction's addiction.
Yes, it is.
Oof. Anyways, so how was you just posted something on our WhatsApp chat? You got a gig with something with Power Rangers or something for voice acting?
Yeah, man. Yeah. For context, so yeah, I got training um to be a voice actor. Like I worked with a coach and everything uh well over a year ago. This was shit, almost 2 years now.
Hmm.
And I have not had a I've not had a gig since completing my training. I've auditioned. I did take some time away from it to kind of focus more
The
on the
craft.
alliance and the men's work and the group and
Oh,
stuff
okay.
like that. But
Mhm.
yeah, just was not getting any callbacks or anything like that. And I just saw this post a couple weeks ago. Just somebody was looking for voices to voice some characters from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which this franchise has had the biggest impact on my childhood, like ever. So that was like it was like the universe just saying, "Here's
Yeah.
your opportunity, man." And
Yeah.
I went and I auditioned to be one of the Rangers,
Mhm.
and I did not get that job. But for shits and giggles, I recorded some auditions for a couple of the other characters that weren't on his list
Mhm.
that I knew were going to be on his show.
Mhm.
So I did Zordon and Goldar, and I ended up getting the part of Zordon. And
Nice.
you all can Google that if you want and see who he is. But I will be playing the voice of a giant floating head that is inside of a tube. So yeah,
It all starts somewhere, man. Like
yeah, dude.
I just listened to Chris Hemsworth today on Peter Tia's podcast. It's dated. He did that show Limitless,
Yeah, yeah.
internet. they were talking about that, and like he was talking about his start and how you just have to go through rejection after rejection, and you just get used to being told no. But it's like a grit thing. After a while, you start making connections, and people get to know you, and it lands. And once you land, you're generally off. But I imagine it's the same thing with voice acting. It's just a matter of reps and honing the craft and getting in front of people and blah blah blah.
That is 100% accurate. It is, there's a lot of grinding, and um, you need a lot of coaching too, which kind of gets a lot of people because that can kind of um, that can become costly. But if you're willing to put in the work and
Mm-hmm.
some of the money and just keep auditioning, audition, 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 just throw them out there and forget about it. And
Right, right.
eventually you will land one. And once you
Yep.
land one, if you're consistent, it'll just keep building
Yep.
from there. And I think that this role um, is that point for me. Like
Mm-hmm. I think
uh,
so too.
yeah, dude, it's not a I don't know if it's a paid gig or anything, but it's a part of something that was really special to me when I was a kid, and like I'm just blessed to be a part of that and to bring, this person's vision of that franchise to life. So yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
very grateful for that opportunity.
Yeah, it's dope. And if you had your choice, would you rather read an audiobook or do acting? Like acting is like a
Acting, acting.
yeah, I would imagine.
I've auditioned for audiobooks, but those are sitting there for hours and
Oof.
hours just
Oof.
reading. And with acting, you can use your imagination and,
Yeah. Yeah.
really flex that muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what brings me joy is just the ability to like think of
Mm-hmm.
characters and how they would talk and things like that. And just I've been kind of building this catalog of characters in my head with different
Good.
voices and things like that, just to have in my back pocket for if a role does come along and like, hey, I have a voice that would match that character, and then
Mm-hmm.
throw out an audition for it. So that's what I like, man. I feel that I'm a kind of a creative person, and
Mm-hmm.
acting really lets you use that creativity.
Yeah. I could. That's what I thought you were gonna say. And I should pay you to do the intro of my podcast.
I'll do it for free, Miles.
I there we go. I should tap you for that because what's I know there's a word for it, but like, everybody hates to hear the sound of their voice. When I first started doing podcasts, I was like, man, I need some like training. I sound either I'm talking too fast or like I sound drunk or I mumble. And recently Josh, my co-host, he's had to step away for a while from doing the podcast because some personal stuff and some work stuff got in the way, and I've had to record the intro and like he did the intro and like we did two takes and the second was like boom, that's awesome, let's just use it. And I've done like four or five and like I haven't got one that I really liked yet. The one from last week was like I sound like I'm on Spectrum or something. It was like mom. It's like this is harder than I thought it was. Just talking like this I can do, but like to have an intro that grabs you, that there's a learning curve there.
Hmm.
And so I kind of stepped into your realm a little bit. And man, I need some. I know there are coaches that do this, but you
Yeah,
would probably knock it out of the park one take.
yeah, man. We can chat after the show and get that going because I'd be more than happy to do that for you.
That'd be cool. I
Mhm.
think because I've heard other podcasts where someone has done their intro and it's not the person who runs the podcast, and you're like, wait, that's a different voice, but it's a recorded, okay, and then they kind of get it after a while, but
Yeah,
because your voice is way better than my voice, you definitely have the gift. I do not have this gift.
you're gifted
So
for
you're
sure.
lucky.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man.
That's not my lane, but um, yeah, it's interesting. It made me think of you when I was doing it. It was like, yeah, this is a lot harder than I thought it would be, but it's cool what you're doing.
There's experts out there that still struggle. My voice coach, Tim Powers, he, you know, he's gone out and he's done all the things, but he still struggles, and like even coaches need coaching and things like that. So it's kind of a
Yeah.
never-ending learning cycle of talking, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with any craft, you're always trying to sharpen the sword. So
Hmm.
it's cool though. It's really cool.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
yeah, you'll be on Inside Out 3 before we know it or whatever.
Yeah, to land one of those gigs for a major
Yeah,
like Disney franchise or something, like yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that would be the shit. That would be amazing. Essentially, my goal, my ultimate goal, I have two. One of them is to be the voice of Batman in a major DC animated show or
Ooh,
movie.
or a video
Batman,
game.
a video game, anything, a commercial. That
Yeah.
would be that would be amazing. I feel like I'm such a huge Batman fan that I feel like I would nail it.
Are
Um,
you a Christian Bale Batman or Michael Keaton
Michael
Batman type?
Keaton, sir. Michael
Yeah,
Keaton.
yeah. There we go. Okay.
I know these kids
And
out here
what's the
running
second?
around. Christian Bale's there, Batman. Nah, Michael Keaton, baby.
The OG.
Straight up, dude. Well, the OG, I guess, would be Adam West, but
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, good point.
I don't go that far.
That's before our time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the second thing?
Second thing is, I would like to write and voice my own show. Are you familiar with like Rick and Morty?
Yes.
So I
Not
want
super
that.
familiar, but you want to do that. Yeah.
That's what I want.
Mhm.
Me and my best friend Cortez have these ideas, and we're writing a show right now. Um,
Great.
it's so fun. It's so
I
fun to
bet.
do that, and like just to be paid for it.
Yeah.
That's the key to life right there, man. Is to figure out how to
Where the
get
fuck
paid for
is?
doing things you love.
That is the sweet spot. Yeah. If it hits purpose and meaning and you get paid, that's the Goldilocks
Yes,
zone for sure.
fucking
Mhm.
cha-ching, man. You've made it.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, even just doing it. I was listening to someone, was it Connor's podcast about purpose and meaning? We always think it has to be our vocation, but sometimes it's a different slice of life, like a hobby or something else. You have different areas of your life that if you have two, three, four, five things that give you purpose and meaning, like I like to do archery and then I paint and then some other thing, but my job's meh, it counterbalances that. There's got to be something that wants to come through you in your life as a calling, as Dr. James Hollis, my favorite Jungian analyst, would say is like what wants to come through you as a calling. He uses the the Latin word, I think it's vocare, means to call, in vocation. If you find out what that is, that's sort of like a trailhead to your purpose and meaning. And so you just kind of follow that. And sometimes if you just stay with it, that can turn into what pays you. So then
Hmm.
you're good to go. But if it gives you joy, why would you stop doing it?
Absolutely. And I think uh, with us men that are out here like doing the work and trying to improve ourselves, and like some of us don't even know what we enjoy, what brings us happiness. Like we don't even know what
Exactly.
things we want to do, man. And to that, I just say, just try shit.
Just try shit. Go to the buffet. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
just
got to do some self-inquiry, find out who you are, what you like.
yeah, something will come up for everyone. I think that everyone is gifted in one way or another, and there's opportunities for everyone to go out there and chase their dreams and do what they love. It's just a matter of
Yeah.
going out and doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Count to five and stand up and go.
Count, yes, yep, yes, I love
What is
that.
that fucking resistance? Oh, I hate it so much. I hate it so much. But it's a gift of the ADDs. We think about all the possibilities and we go, oh, which one do I pull first? And that looks more fun over here.
Yep,
Get
like the book
overwhelmed real
thing. Like
easy.
I would rather
Yeah.
just read this book.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. You got to be careful. I mean, that also is a human condition too. It's just worse for people with ADD, ADHD. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
what else we need to bring in before we land the plane here?
So there was
What do
one
you got?
thing um, that kind of dives into spirituality a little bit, um,
Cool.
which that's kind of part of the show as well. And
100%.
so going back to well, when I had joined the Alliance,
Hmm.
and there was this point in my life that when I actually kind of realized that I was living it blindly, and just unaware of my internal and external realities, and just kind of letting life, you know, letting life take me wherever. Um, I had, and the reason why I'm going to bring this up, and maybe I'll go into context on it as I'm talking, but it was 2022. I had gotten extremely sick. Um, I was in and out of the hospital. I didn't eat anything. I didn't drink anything. This went on for like a week straight, and this was right at the time I started reading this book, "The Mountain Is You," and I know that you're probably familiar with that one.
I am actually not, so do
Oh
tell.
my goodness! All
You
right,
found one I haven't read.
holy crap! I'm gonna send you a link after this,
Please
dude.
send the link. Well, we'll put it in the show notes too. Put it in our chat so I can find it.
Absolutely. So I started reading that, and that was kind of what was opening my eyes a little bit to what life actually is. And uh, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and um, this was back when I was trying to figure out who I was and everything like that.
Mm,
So I was really sick for the week, and the significance of that is was having these dreams that were so vivid that I would wake up thinking that they actually happened. There was one
hmm
dream that I remember specifically that my wife had cheated on me with this guy that lived in this big mansion. And I remember waking up and I started crying because I thought my wife had left me. Like I thought I was a single father of four.
hmm
And it was just, it was so bizarre. Like I've never had dreams like that before. And we got, let's see, that was a week. I got better, and then we had to go out of town to go to a graduation party for family. And back then, I hated taking the kids like out of town because they were really little back then, and it was just super stressful. So we were gonna do this trip, and I told my wife, no stress. No stress. Like, we're not going to stress. I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to get overwhelmed. Like, we're going to have a good weekend and just throwing in all this intention. Like, no stress, no stress. So we did the thing. Um, we went to the family thing. Everything went great. Uh, I stayed regulated the whole time. Um, and yeah, everything was awesome. And we were driving home, and my wife and I were talking. And I was just basically, I had opened up to her and was just explaining how I was feeling about my life and the things I wanted to change. And like it was just bringing up a lot of emotions.
hmm
And I just remember almost yelling, like, I'm tired of being stressed. No more stress. Like, because I knew that stress was going to kill me one day. And
hmm
so we got home, we got the kids to bed. And her and I went and sat out on the back deck, and this was like 11:30 at night. And as I mentioned previously, my wife is she's a very conscious and aware person, and we were talking about the present moment and what that actually means. And she said the words, "Live in the moment." And as soon as she said those words, something I don't know, man. Something snapped in my brain. A light switch was flicked, and all of a sudden, I everything in my life made sense.
hmm
Um, I sat there And it was just a major epiphany moment. And then all of a sudden, I look up and I can see these waves flowing through the tree limbs. And the colors of the leaves and the sky and the grass were becoming brighter and vivid. And this is 11:30 at night, mind you. It's dark
Wow.
out, but I can see all of this stuff.
Hmm.
And I was watching these waves. I looked down at my arm and I'm glowing. Like I am
Wow.
emitting some faint light. I can't explain it, but all I can say was that I was glowing and I felt this connection with every single person on the planet.
You
Like
became
I've
one.
right. It was, after months and months of after this experience trying to figure out what the fuck happened to me, it was it was an experience of oneness.
Yeah.
And my like I said, my life made sense. All these like it was like I was on mushrooms, dude, but I wasn't. I was
Yeah.
sober. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I had this crazy experience. I hugged my wife and it was just bawling. I was crying like because I felt like joy and bliss and like I said, everything made sense. The next day, I woke up. Uh, I was having chronic knee and back issues back then, completely gone. I
Whoa.
was standing up straight. I was using vocabulary that I've never used before, like bigger words. I
Wow.
had this mental clarity that I've never had before in my life. And that lasted about a week. I was like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eventually, old programming started kind of kicking back in, and I didn't know
Always
how to
does.
sustain this feeling that I had. And I think ever since then, I've been kind of chasing that experience. You know,
Mm.
it was so profound. Like it's gonna bring tears to my eyes the more I think about it because it had that big of an impact on me, and that experience really showed me that um, there's more to this life than our physical reality and the things that we can see with our two eyes. And
Mm.
and that experience really opened the door to a lot of um, the spiritual world, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, man,
You,
it's that was incredible, incredible.
that's an amazing spiritual experience.
Yeah, and that's
Not a lot of people
exactly
have
what it
it.
was too.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. Yeah. And we do want to chase it when we have it because the ego likes it because it was like, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And my meditation training, my teachers would say when you have those experiences, you're supposed to just notice them and say, that was interesting, and then go back to your breath. Because as soon as you start grasping, the ego's involved, and it's like trying to grab water, right? It's going to squirt out of your hand. So it's more like set up the conditions that let it come back to you again. So whatever you did, do that again. Whatever that practice was. I don't, it might have just been the right place, the right time, the right causes, the right conditions, the right pain needing to come out, and the right pressure release valve opening. And the veils were parted for a second, and you saw
Mhm.
shit that the human brain normally does not see because of our human condition.
Right.
But you're lucky. That's good. I mean, I want that for everybody. A lot of people get these from like near death experiences, which is cool,
Mhm.
but like we shouldn't have to almost die to get them. Deep,
Yeah,
deep meditation, psychedelics, things like that. Even therapy, sometimes these things happen. So that's cool. That's
it
really, really
is,
cool.
man. And that, I research a lot of spiritual content. Not so much these days and all of like the woo woo stuff. That's, spirituality is actually becoming a really big market right now. That's only just getting bigger. And it's
Just
unfortunate that it's
now?
kind of, what's that?
Just now?
Oh, well, it's been that way. Maybe this is because all of this is now coming into my awareness ever since that
Ah, right, right.
experience,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, yeah,
now
yeah.
it's like, oh, I want to buy a red Jeep, and all of a sudden you see red Jeep
Exactly.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Reticular acting system. Yeah.
that is 100% probably where that statement comes from because I'm just noticing all of that. But I'm sure it's been decades and millennia. I don't know, since the
Yeah.
formation of religion.
Yeah,
That it's
human
been a huge
condition.
market.
Yeah, but you're actively open to it now, which is cool.
hmm Yeah, and
Yeah,
there's
just stay open.
stay open, and there's a lot of practices that are based in spirituality that we utilize in the alliance, like breath work and
Absolutely.
meditation, um,
Hmm.
which are probably the biggest ones I think we utilize in the alliance, but um, all
Yes,
universal tools.
great ones.
hmm
Yeah, I I love one of his ethos for moving from medicative to meditative practices for men. I think that's a huge one. I think we're trying to find the same solution to the problem or feel the same state through a pseudo means, and it sometimes feels like it, but then when you actually do it without the substance of the crutch and you let it happen naturally, then you have an experience like you had or something similar to that. Remember one guy at one of my meditation retreats had a somewhat similar experience where concepts kind of just human concepts went away. He said it was like words didn't make sense for a second. He likened to like remember back in the day when like those magnets where you could make words on the fridge, you know what
hmm
I'm talking about? It
Yeah.
was like those just kind of fell and he couldn't even like put words together. And it was like 30 seconds. And one of the meditation instructors said that in Tibetan it's called Nyam experience, where it's just human construct just drops. I mean, it's part of your ego just kind of goes nine nine for a second or takes a step back, and you just experience that. And it can be jarring for some people, or interesting, but yeah, the practices and just letting the causes and conditions be there, it allows for these things to happen. Unfortunately, modern living doesn't really give a lot of space for that because they're always going 1,000 miles an hour and doing all the things, and
Oh yeah,
sometimes just
constantly being
slowing down.
distracted. Yeah,
Yeah, we gotta. Yep,
distracted,
having that
bombarded with
practice.
info.
We do. We're
Yeah.
inundated. We are. It's good, but we have to also digest and alchemize, metabolize what we're taking in, and continue to do the practices that get us there. But yeah, that's quite amazing. It's quite amazing to have that without the plant-based medicine or whatever. Like,
Yeah, I mean, they do have their place, and I do dabble in them
sure.
for time to time. But yeah, just to have that, I think maybe my brain created its own DMT. I know that that's
Yeah, yeah,
possible, and
absolutely
maybe
possible.
that's
Yeah.
happened. But I wish I would have had you there to tell me that those types of experiences are there to be observed and then kind of let go of, because I did
Mhm.
not let go of that shit. And
Oh,
I,
we all do that.
yeah, I've been chasing it, just wanting answers, and I
Yeah.
research a lot, and I'm sure you do too, and just constantly reading,
Mhm.
constantly learning as much as you can, and I think I finally reached a point where uh, it was what it was, and essentially it was just an experience for me to see that there's more to life than what I was currently experiencing. And yeah, that it was a
Then you
huge
learn a
pivot point
lesson.
in my life. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great.
Just notice if you're chasing versus allowing. I think that's the it's completely normal when someone has a spiritual experience to want to make yourself be in that state 24/7 because it feels great. Once the ego gets involved, it wants to that in Buddhism when they say when you start attaching, you immediately start suffering because then when you let go, you're disappointed. But it's sort of the cliche, like rather than grasping water, like spurting out, you just hold the water. You put your hand like this, and the water stays, or until it evaporates or whatever. But some cliche statement that does make sense. But yeah, keep seeking. That's fine. Keep looking, keep reading, but do the practices and just be. Something will happen again probably, but
And just
also
be, I
be
like
okay
that.
with it not happening again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm.
It was just
It's a hard thing.
it is, but yeah, I'm definitely not chasing it as much, but I do think back about it, and it gives me hope. Um,
Yeah.
it just gives me hope that things are going to get better, not just in my life, but in the world. And it's a very motivating experience too, just to
Mhm.
go out there and do good, um, help people, do good things in society and for yourself and immediate family and things like that.
Mhm.
So that's what I use that experience for now, is just remembering
There you go.
that things are good. So
Yeah. But then the gift was given and you're retaining it.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm. Whatever spiritual modality you want to go through, whether it was God speaking to you or something with Buddhism or Hindu, whatever, like the veil of whatever was lifted for a second and you felt it somatically, psychologically, all the above. And
Yeah,
it's wild. They do
Buddhist,
happen.
God, all of that stuff. It's all the same. It's all the same stuff.
Likely. Likely, yeah. 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 Shit. That's pretty cool. We could all do a whole podcast on that subject. That's always fascinating.
Yeah, man. I could talk for hours about that stuff.
I
It's
bet.
very fascinating
Mhm. It is.
and a
Maybe you'll
key
weave it
part of our
into one
life.
of your stories, one of your scripts.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you know, um, I eventually I might do my own podcast down the road. I don't know, but because
Why
I
not?
do really just enjoy talking about that stuff, and I think a lot of people can get a lot of benefit from it
Mhm.
too. So yeah, we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah, I'll get you on
But
Aubrey Marcus. Remember,
yeah, there we
I
go.
showed you that guy.
Yeah. You turned me on to some good stuff, dude. That shit was right up my alley, man.
Yeah, I knew it would be. His podcast is cool. I like that guy. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he is.
Really good dude. Co-creator of On It with Joe Rogan back in the day, but I think he's stepped away from On It doing his own thing now. I think he's sold. I don't think he's the CEO anymore. Maybe it has something to do with it, but he's a good human. Good podcast too.
Heck
He's
yeah.
had Dr. Schwartz on twice for IFS, and those two episodes are really good if you want to know what IFS feels like. Also, he was just on Huberman Lab as well. So
Oh, nice.
anyone interested in internal family systems, check it out. All
Absolutely.
right. Anything else before we sign off? Feel complete?
No. I do want to thank you though, for this opportunity, to get on the show and just to
For
talk to
sure.
you, man. Like I said, it feels like it's been a little while, so it was good to catch up with you and yeah, do this thing. And, again, thank you for this opportunity, man.
Of course. Yeah, we'll probably have a round two or three at some point.
Love it. I'm
Just
down.
let me, yeah, absolutely. All right. This has helped any men out there. I like to, you know, copy what Connor says, man it forward or whatever. Or if you're a woman listening in this, I mean, I guess this isn't really a male centric episode necessarily. Like,
Mm.
if you have a guy in your life you want to send it to, forward it. I always have to say the obligatory follow, like, subscribe because it really. I mean, we listen to podcasts like, why are you guys saying this? This is so dumb. I get it now. It really does
Yep.
help. We do need we do need it. Like want more earballs and eyeballs out there, you got to do that. So, um, yeah, send me a link to that book.
Hmm.
We'll put all your cool stuff in the show notes for people where they can find you. Um, I don't know if you want to tell people where they can find you now. We'll put it in the show notes, but you can say it now if you want to.
Yeah. I do have a website, www.toddleuchvo.com. And you can find me on Facebook too. I'm still working on YouTube and all of that stuff, but yeah, my website's good. You can get a hold of
Cool.
me through there.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll link it all. Iterations. And yeah, if you want to start that podcast. Do it.
I just got to do it. Count to
Yeah,
5 and do it.
that's right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's good practice for you, anyways. We're just talking, right? Just
Yeah,
for your
flexing,
voice or whatever.
flexing that muscle, dude. Hell yeah.
Flex that muscle. Yeah, that thing going. Hell yeah. Well, I'll see you in our group or on next time on one of these.
It'll be in the group, I'm sure.
Maybe the next spiritual experience when you're there, you'll say, "Can the Vikings please win one Super Bowl?" And they'll listen.
And I feel like fucking hell will open up and I'll look down and it'll be frozen over. Like, yes, it's
That
time.
is not the lesson we're trying to teach you.
Oh
I
shit,
must have done
man.
something right this year because the Eagles won, so I don't know. Sports gods. But yeah, uh, like we said in the beginning, don't get caught in the ups and downs of sports, men, because it can really hose you. So
Yep.
enjoy it, yes, but don't identify. Enjoy it, don't identify. If you're not getting paid to be on the team, you don't get the right to lose your shit because you're
Exactly.
not getting paid to lose your shit. If you get paid to lose your shit, by all means, lose your shit, but
Lose it
we're
all.
not. So yeah, you gotta be careful with that one, or else we'll take it out on our friends and family for a couple days. So,
Oh yeah.
anyways, until the next time, yeah, we'll see y'all when we see y'all. And you're in charge of this video, so you have to press stop recording. All right.
Yes,
See
I
y'all
do.
next.